got news for you. Did you know politicians sometimes say things but then do the opposite? It's true. Come on, you know. We look at who said what about the timing of Supreme Court nominees, and does it matter? We had some snow this past month, and fire season still rages, so what happened? We get accused of having puppet masters all the time in the news business, so now's our time to shine with a story about an actual puppet show scandal in one city. And no strings attached. Our show is free today, like every day. No games. Actually, we have a story about that and much more next. Republican Senator Cory Gardner supports moving forward to fill the Supreme Court vacancy following the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That stance is different than his position 4 years ago when he supported the Republican decision to block President Obama's Supreme Court nominee in the last year of a president's term. But then, again, his opponent, Democrat John Hickenlooper, has his own flip-flop this year. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger wonders if any of this even matters anymore.
It's like deja vu all over again, a Supreme Court vacancy in a presidential election year. 1 hour ago, Republican Senator Cory Gardner put out a statement supporting judicial nominees who will protect our Constitution, not legislate from the bench, and uphold the law. Should a qualified nominee who meets this criteria be put forward, I will vote to confirm. In a similar situation in 2016, his statement included the next president of the United States should have the opportunity to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court. Our next election is too soon and the stakes are too high.
On the surface, it may look like 2016 is the same as 2020, but it's not. It's oversimplified to say that this is the same situation.
Michelle Ling creates political ads for ballot issues. She used to do it for candidates. She points out the 2016 situation had a Democratic president in his final year with a Republican-controlled Senate. Gardner joined Republicans, who said the vacancy should wait until after the election. Democrats, including then-Governor John Hickenlooper, said the Senate should consider the nominee. The Republicans held the cards and let President Trump play his hand when he got elected. Now it's 2020. It's Democrats, including Hickenlooper, now running for Senate, saying wait, and Republicans, including Gardner, wanting to move forward even quicker. Does the flip-flop even matter?
It really doesn't matter among Republican and Democratic registered voters in Colorado, but it does matter among some unaffiliated voters.
David Flaherty, a conservative pollster who runs Magellan Strategies in Louisville, believes about 1 in 10 Senate voters will consider Hickenlooper and Gardner equally, meaning the other 9 are going to fill in the bubble based on the party affiliation next to the candidate's name. Let's not forget, Hickenlooper is on the ballot for Senate after repeatedly saying this.
Being a senator would be meaningful, but I'd hate it.
I don't think I'm cut out for that.
Does that matter?
That's a little bit different in the sense where voters will be like, all right, the guy changed his mind. He's a politician. I understand why he changed his mind. That really doesn't matter to me. I still want to know what John Hickenlooper says he's going to do in the U.S. Senate if elected.
Here's something else to consider is who is voting in November. According to David Flaherty, you now have people who are considering COVID voting. How is my health and safety? You might have shifted that a bit to female rights, women's right to choose. You might have voters supporting that or vastly against that, Democrats and Republicans coming out just for that issue now, Jeremy, instead of simply thinking, how's my health and safety because of COVID?
Great job dissecting this all up, Marshall. You got to wonder what they're going to say 4 years from now. Who knows? Thank you very much for your work today. We know back in 2016 when Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland to fill Justice Scalia's seat, Senator Cory Gardner said the American people deserve a role in this process, as the next Supreme Court justice will influence the direction of this country 4 years to come. 4 years to come. The next president of the United States should have the opportunity to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court. That's his quote. We asked our 9 News political analysts James Mejia and Kelly Maher if it even matters what Gardner said back then.
When it happens to the other party and you reverse course, I think what that does is really hardens the opinion of the electorate that says we cannot trust the process. And I think that's what we have here. We have a deeply divided electorate that will become even more deeply divided.
I think it's super convenient that all of these quotes keep coming up,
but nobody is playing the quotes of Democrats at the time, absolutely going into orbit, talking about we need to have 9 justices. We must have 9 justices in order to be able to hold an election. And especially heading into a contested election, I think it's super important that we have a full complement of justices.
Well, there you go. There's their perspectives. We asked James and Kelly if they thought this reversal by Senator Gardner could impact him in the Senate race. Kelly thinks it would be helpful to Senator Gardner if he shows the people of Colorado that he has the state's best interest in mind when evaluating the new nominee, whoever that is. James thinks short term in the Senate race, it would help Gardner to go against his party and not support the nomination. But long term, for his political career, it's best to stick with Republicans, he says. Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 data in our state. 152 people are currently in a hospital with that disease. Our 7-day average is 143. That number has crept up a little bit in recent days. Our positivity rate has also gone up. Yesterday's was more than 3.6%. Our 7-day average is now over 3.2%. We were in the 2% range last week. So it's been a rough year for RTD. The number of people using it has been way down because of COVID. We've talked about that. Now the agency is already getting ready for next year's hardships. The RTD board is considering changes in 2021. It includes some of the same plans already implemented this year amid the pandemic. Things like reducing frequency on some trains and buses and suspending services on some routes while enhancing it on others. The proposal also includes a new program where RTD would pay for Uber, Lyft, or even taxi ride vouchers for passengers on routes that are suspended due to low ridership, like the buses from Evergreen and Pine Junction to Denver. RTD will discuss these possibilities at their meeting tomorrow night. So-called arcade bars have had a play a waiting game. Okay, who wrote that? Since the pandemic shut down much of Colorado's economy back in March. Fortunately, that game ends tomorrow.
Oh. It's been quite the journey being closed. Jordan Adler, owner of the 1UP, and we're here getting our place reopened for business. The basics of the 1UP is it's an arcade bar. You know, like you could come in and really just take a jump back to your childhood. I thought we were going to get open back when the casinos were able to allow gaming, and we've really just been pushed to the end of the line. It's been beyond stressful. Colorado public health mandate was that arcade games must be turned off or removed. We had no choice but to shut down. We laid off close to 70 people. Starting back in March, I was like, all right, let's be logical here. Is it gonna be July? Is it gonna be August? And then here we are, end of September, beginning of October. We're basically starting over from zero, from below zero. We've adjusted all the volumes, we're bringing games back in, we're getting games turned on, and I can't even begin to explain how nice it is to walk back in here and see all of these games lit back up and to open the doors to the public. Customers just have to game in groups of 4 and remain socially distanced, and we'll be sanitizing after play.
I love those sounds. Fun fact, 1UP actually turned down the volume on their games so people wouldn't have to talk as loudly, which should decrease the risk of spreading COVID-19. Each and every week, you continue to blow us away with your generosity. Last week, just $5 at a time, you helped raise more than $50,000 for the Second Wind Fund. The Second Wind Fund helps get young people at risk for suicide to see a therapist quickly. This nonprofit estimates they can save a life for about $1,000. Kyle will be back with another small nonprofit on Wednesday. What good is an early September snowstorm if it's not going to help bring an early end to fire season? The answer to today's next question is hidden underground.
I feel like it's really important right now as we talk about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. People with disabilities are often overlooked in those conversations.
At a time of economic hardship, one local nonprofit is making sure workers with disabilities don't get left behind. Next.
Happy Monday. Looking good across downtown Denver this evening. Still some sunshine out there, but you can see the smoke, the haze. It also is with us and will continue through tomorrow. Temperatures this afternoon warming up into the upper 80s for our final day of the summer season, with a couple of quick scattered showers and thunderstorms going up in the mountains. Tonight we fall into the 40s and low 50s here for the metro area, and Futurecast bringing us once again another round of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. Possibly a couple of those popping into the metro area between 4 and 5 o'clock. Keep our fingers crossed for some rain, but it still is going to be a warm day with highs in the 80s. 90s on deck on Thursday and Friday, and then looking ahead toward next weekend, 70s. So a cool off is coming.
Tonight's next question comes to us as the Cameron Peak fire in northern Colorado seems to be making a comeback. Hot and windy conditions yesterday caused the fire to grow another 1,500 acres and sparked evacuations. We want to know why the snowstorm and cold front 2 weeks ago did not do more to put out that fire. We'll let meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen explain.
An early September storm hit the Cameron Peak fire during one of its most active times, covering the ground with 8 to 16 inches of snow. You might think that kind of event could put out a wildfire.
It put out the flames, but the fire itself was still there.
Cassandra Cairns, a spokesperson assigned to the Cameron Peak fire, says after the snow, the fire remained alive underground, deep into the roots of trees, and inside big smoldering logs covered by snow. She says the deep snow can even act like a blanket for coals, sheltering the Cameron Peak fire from the early cold.
It will maintain that heat, not as hot as it was to begin with. But as long as that snow is on there, it's going to keep that heat in there and insulated.
Cairns compares it to a campfire and how firefighters tell you not to just put it out, but to put it dead out.
And what that means is that you need to turn those ashes over and douse it, stir it up, turn those ashes over again until when you put your hand over it, you feel no heat. So it's the same thing.
She says with snow, it's not so much how much snow falls, but how long it takes to fall and how long it stays on the ground. Unfortunately, that storm only lasted 24 hours and melted away in just a week.
Once you start developing a snowpack and there's no chance of that's going to be melting in a short period of time, that's a season-ending event.
Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for Next.
And to expand on what Corey was talking about there, even when the snowpack comes, the fire still might not be dead underneath. Karen's told us that when she worked in western Montana, she once saw a fire survive under snowpack for an entire winter, only to flare back up again when it was exposed to the winds during the springtime. We almost lost our heads over some city council drama in Inglewood involving Sleepy Hollow and puppets.
I knew that she loved fashion, but I never in my lifetime would think that she would have her own business.
A Boulder nonprofit is helping make the dreams of disabled Colorado workers a reality. Next. We're on an arcade. As many nonprofits are closing their doors, and with many people with disabilities going without much needed services during this pandemic, there is a Boulder-based nonprofit that's actually thriving right now. The group teaches online educational courses and is helping people with disabilities find work. Our Byron Reed has their story.
I'm making some pictures.
Ever since she was very young,
I wear like this dress.
Mariel Carrillo has loved fashion.
So I don't like fashion. It's like clothes and shoes and makeup. That's it.
Carrillo was born with Down syndrome. And in March, the 25-year-old launched her own online clothing company.
My business name is Maria Boutique.
That sells shirts, dresses, and pants for young women.
I knew that she loved fashion, but I never in my lifetime would think that she would have her own business.
She started the business after taking courses from Celebrate EDU, a nonprofit based out of Boulder that provides free online education to people with disabilities across the country.
We started Celebrate EDU about 7 years ago, inspired by my brother Brent, who is on the autism spectrum and is a successful entrepreneur.
Jeannie Anderson is the group's co-founder and CEO and says they want their students to explore their interests and turn those into meaningful work opportunities to help reduce the disability unemployment rate during the pandemic.
81% of individuals with developmental disabilities are unemployed in the U.S. So we have been able to grow and actually triple the number of students that we've served in the last 6 months.
Celebrate EDU says they've worked with 50-plus partners in 9 different states and have impacted the lives of over 1,100 people with disabilities.
As we talk about diversity and inclusion in the workplace, people with disabilities are often overlooked in those conversations. However, 1 in 4 people in the U.S. has a disability.
That is my good name.
It's a conversation the group hopes more employers will have so entrepreneurs like Mariel can follow their dreams.
I'm just overwhelmed to see her feel successful and be part of something that she really loves.
For Next,
Yes, I'm a very proud mom.
I'm Byron Reed.
What a great story. A great group of people there, too. Celebrate EDU says to help out, they are now offering $500 grants to qualifying people with disabilities who want to start their own business. Sounds quite worth it. Some drama over a planned drama in the city of Inglewood, and this one actually involves puppet masters behind the scenes, like actually real-life puppet masters. The show would feature shadow puppets that would depict the legend of Sleepy Hollow. People would walk through Inglewood and see a series of shadow puppet shows along a pedestrian route during the month of October. Sounds like, pretty quaint and very fallish, right? But when you look behind the curtain, there are some strings attached here. A member of the city's Cultural Arts Commission got their own puppet company involved with this. Now, there's a whole debate whether the show should go on and if the city should commit taxpayer money to this whole thing. Now people are losing their heads over the shadow show about Sleepy Hollow. Yes, I wrote this script. The issue is on the agenda for City Council tomorrow, and there you have it. Another watchdog report. And by the way, you can make a cool little shadow dog by doing this. Check it out. There's the mouth, the ears. You're welcome, kids. Finally, something nice for the short guys. It's a sign of refreshment for all of the 5-footers out there. 5-foot-footers, is that how you say it? That and your feedback next. It's a sign of a judgment-free zone in Denver's Wash Park neighborhood. Michael spotted this sign outside of a home there last week. It's placed right above a water bowl, a dog water bowl. It says, water for your dog or short people with low standards. We don't judge. Michael's dog, Sky, appreciated the chance to cool down here. Unknown if any short people walking by accepted this invitation. If you see any signs in your neighborhood, take a picture of them. Then you can email them to us at next@9news.com or use the hashtag HeyNext on Twitter. Let's go to viewer feedback. Michael says thank you goes out to Steve, Marshall, Anusha, and Jeremy for filling in for Kyle while he's been gone. You do an amazing job and are a great addition to the team and to your show. Wow, nice feedback. A+ feedback. Thanks for watching me tonight and us. From all of us here at Next, have a good day.